Welcome, everybody, to a brand new episode of Off the Ropes with John and Josh. I am Josh.
I'm that crazy bastard they call John.
That's right, and we're on episode 29 of Off the Ropes. And, John, something's different about you. Did you get a haircut or something? What's going on?
It's hot as balls in my apartment, so just decided not to wear a shirt tonight.
Fair
but it's
enough.
okay, because I'm being shot from the neck up almost, so we're good.
That's fair. No nipples on this show, unless you ask nicely and pay us a little money. You know.
It's really funny because you're like, oh, did you get a haircut? And I'm like, no, but I need one. Like,
fair enough. So, John, it's been a little bit since we've been on the show.
It has.
I know that you recently got some wrestling-related ink done. Why don't you share that with the fans? Well, tell them about this.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many of you know, there's a multi-layer reason to this tattoo. Anybody who knows the origin of what I did in the backyard, I ran a gimmick called Johnny Storm. It was the often imitated, never duplicated Clown Prince of Destruction, but you could honestly say it was very similar to that of one Bray Wyatt's cult leader gimmick. I know I've said it a bunch of times. He stole my gimmick. So I went and got the Bray Wyatt buzzard tattoo. I changed it up a little bit, and instead of it being solid color, we made the fire actually look like a flame. I got it for a couple different reasons, a couple personal reasons. So yeah, got me some wrestling ink. This makes the second one of my wrestling collection.
Yeah, man, I think it came out beautiful. I love it. I think it's great,
I mean, so. I'll post a picture of it in the comments when we put this up.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Also, a better look.
Yeah. All right, so we got a lot of interesting things to talk about. Are you excited?
Oh my god, dude, we have a lot of stuff to talk about, and this is going to be a crazy episode because there aren't really many downers on this episode. It's just a lot of straight fact.
Yeah,
and I think it's going to be a lot of discussion between the two of us.
True, and I'm excited to dive into it. So I say we start things off with a little thing we like to call Breaking Kayfabe. That's right, folks. This is where we break down the news in the world of wrestling. And I'm going to start with Carlito.
Ooh,
so,
Carlito,
we saw Carlito show up at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, we did.
And then
we saw him on the Raw after.
Yeah, he had a tag team match with Jeff Hardy, which we even talked about on the last episode a little bit.
We did.
Apparently, Carlito has had zero contact with WWE since his post-Rumble appearance. John, I wanted to get your thoughts on the fact that he came in for the Rumble, then they actually put him on Raw, and then nothing else. And I also wanted to get your thoughts on WWE's habit of teasing the fans and then not delivering.
I'm not 100% sure WWE is to blame on this one. Carlito pretty much said himself that he wasn't 100% guaranteed he was coming back. He kind of wanted to dip his foot in the water, see how it felt. It was also still the COVID time. Like, Carlito's gimmick isn't the same without an apple being spit at somebody, and you can't quite do that in the middle of a pandemic.
I mean, I get that. However, the way he talked, it sounded like it wasn't, I had no interest. It was WWE never reached out to him. Never.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt that
heard
either
from them since.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on with the current products of WWE, which we'll get into in a little bit. That probably has a lot to do with it, especially,
But here's my question. If you know you're really not going to keep this guy on, why bother doing the Raw match? The Rumble is known for having
absolutely, but they did the same thing with Jeff Jarrett a couple years ago.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Jeff Jarrett was in the Rumble. He was on the Raw afterwards, and then nothing since.
That's my point. They like to tease the fans like, oh, Carlito's back. This is awesome. And then literally nothing.
Yeah.
I would much rather just see him at the Rumble because I don't have any expectation from that. I see Carlito at the Rumble. I'm like, oh, that's cool. He's a surprise entrant. I'm probably never going to see him again. And
you realize what you just said? I
What?
love it.
That's
Did
cool.
you do it on purpose?
No, I did not.
Carlito, that's cool.
That's cool. But yeah, so I don't understand their thought process between sticking him on Raw to tag team with Jeff Hardy and then just having nothing to do with him again. I don't like that. I don't like the way they do that.
I will say it like this. I don't think there's a lot of thinking going on in Stamford, Connecticut right now. I think it's okay. Let me explain it to you like this, because you'll understand it in this aspect. You're a fan of The Office. Do you remember the episode where Dwight started the fire? That's Stamford, Connecticut right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get that. But it's disappointing.
No,
and I would have liked to have seen, because Carlito, dude, Carlito looked fucking great.
Best he's ever looked.
Man, and it would have been awesome to see him. Just have a little run, do something. It would have been great. But
I'm not saying that there's not still a chance, but I mean,
as you've said a few times, there's a lot of stuff going on that we'll talk about later on. It explains why a lot of this kind of stuff is happening. But the problem is, this isn't new for the WWE.
No, definitely not.
They've been doing stuff like this, like you mentioned the Jeff Jarrett thing. They've been doing stuff like this for years.
I will say,
they tease the fans with something, and then they it's essentially like, blue balls for you.
A couple years ago when they did the Jeff Jarrett one, that was when I got excited, because I was like, oh shit, Jeff Jarrett's back in the WWE, and he's in the fucking Rumble, and he had his little moment, and then on Raw, and I was like, yeah. I was like, fucking A. I mean, I don't like Jeff Jarrett, but he's a great wrestler. I'll watch him.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we're going to go on to our next story. Triple H apparently once tasked Caden Murdoch with bodyguarding him for fear that Billy Gunn and Road Dogg, who at the time were the Voodoo Kin Mafia over in Impact, or TNA, I think is what it was technically at the time. And he was afraid that they would gate crash the show and attack him. This was a legitimate fear. They had actual beef at the time. John, what are your thoughts on this? This is crazy stuff, man.
Do you remember the year?
I don't know.
Because I do. This was back in like the 06-07 run of DX.
Yeah. I know that it was like late aughts.
Yeah.
Mid to late aughts. Yeah.
I will have to say, I always thought that this angle was interesting. I remember when you and I were watching TNA at the time, and we were
this is when we actually watched.
Yeah, and we were wondering how legit this angle was. Because I remember VKM offering the $1 million match, where they would meet in a mutual middle ground, and it would be VKM versus DX.
Yep.
And they kept hinting at it, and they kept pushing for it, and they kept trying, and Vince kept shooting it down. And I remember, so hearing this makes me laugh, because one, in that time frame, Triple H was in decent shape, for one. Two, Triple H is quite a big dude to start. And you're afraid of guys like Billy Gunn and Road Dogg? I mean, I get it. Road Dogg is like, I could see him being a fighter. Billy Gunn is like a 6'1", jacked up dude. But Caden Murdoch? I mean, you've got a roster. You have Batista on roster at this point in time. And you're going to feed someone like Caden Murdoch to them?
Yeah.
What?
I thought it was I was like, interesting choice. Interesting choice.
When you had told me about this earlier, I sat here thinking about this, and I'm like, do you remember the episode of Raw where there was the bounty on DX and everybody was trying to get it?
Yes.
That's what I'm picturing in my mind, is like Billy Gunn and Road Dogg trying to get through a WWE programming while just kicking the shit out of people going, where's DX? Where's DX?
I like it.
And then all of a sudden, Eugene walks up, and then he's like, you guys here for the bounty?
That was great.
What about you, though? Like, what would you... If that would have happened, I mean, Caden Murdoch, though, really?
Yeah, maybe Caden Murdoch are like really good fighters. I have no idea. But
Maybe.
like, if they really wanted to get at Triple H, I feel like they'd find a way.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know what I mean? And maybe they would choose to crash a show, but they find a way to get in there without them even knowing.
Absolutely.
You know? I mean, I feel like it wouldn't matter. Yeah, I feel like it wouldn't matter. They would find a way. So I don't know. All right, this next story, I'm sure John will be happy to hear this one. Velveteen Dream officially fired from the WWE.
You know, it's funny because I texted this one to you and it broke.
Yep.
This broke literally the day after we recorded the last episode.
Yeah.
And I laughed about it because I had said, how is Velveteen Dream surviving all these cuts? And I mean, nothing against him because nothing at this point has still been proven against Velveteen Dream. And I found out, I was reading something earlier where one of the people, it was Aleister Black. Aleister Black actually went on record today saying if people have proof, he wants to see it because they're not friends by any means, but he's worked with the dude and said that that's not who he is. And like, he's like, like if you're going to shit on somebody, at least prove it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I support that. But at the same time, with all the negative press that Velveteen Dream had, and he was pulled off TV for a long amount of time.
Yeah.
I was like, how the fuck does he keep surviving all these cuts? And then after like the last episode we recorded, he got cut. And I was like, oh shit. Well, I mean, there it is. Velveteen Dream officially gone. And I went back and watched one of the NXT TakeOver entrances for him where he dressed up like Hollywood Hogan and he had over across his the logo.
Yeah.
The NWO logo was OVR for Dream Over. And I was like, man, it was probably one of his best entrances he ever did.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. He did survive a lot of cuts. You know what I mean? Like, they did 2 massive cuts just in the last 2 months before this most recent one.
Oh, yeah.
And he gets cut just kind of on his own. And so I don't know what kind of brought it about. I don't think they ever actually gave a real reason as to why.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure it has something to do with all the negative publicity against him.
Probably, but and that's the thing though. Why wasn't he in that second grouping then? Because we talked about that second grouping.
We did talk about
the last episode. So I don't understand why they waited. And it's just, I don't know. It just didn't make sense to me because singling him out in a firing
makes it look so much worse.
Yeah, if it was just part of the big group, like, oh well, I guess they just didn't need him anymore. Whatever, they felt like it was time, so they chopped and they threw him in with the rest.
Yeah,
okay, that would, and then you would move on with your day. But dropping it on its own, it definitely it sounds more suspicious that way. I don't know.
It really you're absolutely correct on that one.
Yeah, so.
And I mean, it's not like he was a bad athlete either. Velveteen Dream might possibly be one of the better entertainers from the NXT brand. Yeah,
I mean, he is definitely good in the ring from the stuff that I had seen of him up until that point where he was gone forever. But yeah so. Okay, and speaking of, people doing bad stuff or allegedly bad stuff, some female wrestlers in the WWE are upset with a recent executive hiring. The WWE recently announced the appointment of Jamie Horowitz as their executive vice president of development and digital. It is apparently understood that the opposition of this appointment is in result to Horowitz getting fired from Fox Sports at the back of sexual harassment allegations against him made in 2017. He was accused of trying to kiss a female production assistant and promising her more work if she, slept with him and let him kind of do his thing.
Wow, shit.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on this?
We can't blame the women for being mad at that one.
Right? I mean,
all this shit's going on with, the standing up for themselves and,
I don't get WWE's thought process on this. I mean, I'll be honest. He comes from Fox. That's no shock then. because there
True. They do
so
have
many people from Fox have had those exact allegations thrown on them, and been even some have had them proven. So it's no shock. So I don't understand why the WWE would bring on a guy like this. To me, it feels like, Vince is buddy with the people over at Fox, and he's like, yeah, that's cool. I don't have a problem with any of it.
I was going to say their working partnership with Fox seems to get them in a lot of shit sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who oversaw this hiring, but I mean, that's in poor taste.
Part of me wonders if it was mandated, like if Vince didn't really have that much control over it.
That possibly could be as well. Honestly,
'cause,
with the way Peacock is handling things and Fox having their finger in it, I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, it's all real muddy, and it just seemed like a real bad move.
You said his name's Horowitz?
Yeah.
Wonder if he's any relation to Barry Horowitz.
I don't know who Barry Horowitz is.
He was a former professional wrestler back in the day.
Plus,
maybe. Isn't Horowitz the dude who lives with his mom on Big Bang Theory?
No, that's Wolowitz.
Oh.
But yeah, you never know. It's very possible that they're related. I have no idea myself. All right, so we're going to switch over to some non-WWE stuff. Andrade popped up in AEW. What do you think about that, John?
I mean, it was only a matter of time before he showed up somewhere that was going to,
That's true,
potentially use his talent better.
Yeah. I feel like I feel like this is just the beginning. We're going to see a lot of people from the WWE going over to AEW.
I don't think we're going to see as many as we think.
Well, I don't know.
I mean,
I'm not saying that a lot of them are going to be there long term and have like major storylines, but I think we're going to wind up seeing a decent amount of people.
I would not doubt it.
In and out.
There's just a couple of them that I know have already said, like, don't plan on seeing me over there type deals.
Yeah.
And not because of like that, but I mean, focus on Andrade here for a second. He has such raw potential. The only thing that I feel bad for him at this point is he's with Charlotte Flair. Like, she's like queen of the WWE right now in the women's division. Yeah. She ain't going anywhere, so it's going to be really shitty on their relationship for a while.
Yeah, it might be. I mean, no one is safe, John.
No,
you know what I mean?
I know that.
When we get into all the stuff that happened, we can show that really no one is safe. So you never know. I mean, if Charlotte has one wrong step, she might be out the door next too. Never know.
Woo!
Never know. But yeah, I mean, I liked Andrade quite a bit. I thought he was a very talented individual, and if AEW, actually has him signed, I don't know if they actually do, but if they do, good on them. I think that's a good get for them.
There's a lot of potential over there for him to have some like really great matches with people.
Yeah,
he could put on star matches with people like Pac, the Hybrid too, Jack Evans, and
that other guy.
I really feel bad because I know Angelico, I think is his name. I mean, Orange Cassidy. I mean, you name it. Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus. I'm sure those guys can put on great matches with them.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so I'm interested to see where his career goes over there.
Yeah,
if anywhere, we'll see. We'll see how long he's over there for. I mean, they brought Christian over, and they've been kind of misusing him. So
I don't think they're misusing him. I think that what they're doing with him right now is the smart move. They're not pulling TNA, and I like that. They're not like, oh, we signed Christian Cage. Hey, you're heavyweight champion now. Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he needs to be the heavyweight champion right away, but I don't know. I feel like they can be doing more.
The storyline that they're building with him as of Double or Nothing, it's gonna turn around.
I hope so. Because I love Christian, so I really want to see him get utilized.
Well, I thought it was really funny because I was watching some clips from Double or Nothing, and him and Matt had a moment in the ring where it was during the Casino Battle Royal, and him and Matt come face to face, and he's like, look, we've got history, man. We should work together. And then he literally instantly turns on Matt Hardy and eliminates him, and he's just kind of like, ah. And I'm like, Yeah, it's classic Christian right there. Like, you can't trust him.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a CLB.
He totally is. Love it. All right, we have one more story. This one's a little bit of a downer. Will Ospreay injured, had to vacate his title. Apparently, a couple weeks ago, it was announced that Will Ospreay had vacated the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship after sustaining a neck injury early in May. At the moment, there is no timetable for his return. John, you had originally brought this story to my attention. So, what went through your mind when you first saw this?
A guy like Will Ospreay, man, you wrestle the style that Will Ospreay wrestles. It is only a matter of time before you sustain injury to the caliber of what he suffered.
Yeah,
I feel really bad, though, because it has taken him so long. Every time he starts building momentum, something slips him up. And this isn't a slip-up. This was an accident. But the match he put on, fuck, man, it was a brutal match. It was a great match. And, like, the dude he's working is a super stiff wrestler. So, I mean, like, they made it look really fucking good. Yeah. And he beat him, and then in the process is breaking his neck. And that fucking sucks. Yeah. Like, there's like Josh said, there is no timetable right now how long he'll be out, if he will ever return at this point. And for someone like Will Ospreay, I mean, he's wrestled in the WWE. He's wrestled in TNA. He's wrestled in pretty much any place he can get his freaking little feet going. But, I mean, goddamn, man, to be in the highlight of the prime of your career and suffer an injury like a neck injury, that sucks balls.
Yeah, it's terrible. Because like I like Will from the stuff that I've seen of him. You know, haven't seen a whole lot of his stuff, but from the stuff that I have seen, man, I don't understand why he hasn't become a bigger name. You know what I mean?
I think it's because for a while, like I said, man, every time he would get 2 steps forward, like either people didn't know how to book him. He's got a very different style. He's very hard hitting. He wants to be stiff, but he wants to be like the Dynamite Kid. Like, he wants to take risks that are unnecessary at times. And like, he lands on his body way harder than he needs to sometimes. And I'm not going to lie. I was talking about this with somebody I work with the other day, and we're both surprised he hasn't broken his neck sooner, because he lands on his neck quite a bit.
Wow.
And I guarantee you, just like Chris Sabin with his double ACL tear like a few years ago, this ain't stopping Will Ospreay either.
Yeah. Hey, hopefully he can bounce back from this and do what he loves to do and not get injured again.
Fingers crossed, man. And I mean, prayers for Will Ospreay.
Absolutely.
I'm not a praying kind of guy, but I mean,
yeah,
prayers to Will Ospreay, because that sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that takes us out of breaking kayfabe and into the main show.
Yeah, you should make a graphic for that, like a transitional thing.
I think I might.
Oh, man. Josh is always happy when we get to the main show, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, man. We're in the main show. And if you guys watched our episode last time, you know that we switched up our format a bit. So we are doing topics where we get to have more conversational this way.
Yeah.
We have this week we have 5 topics that we're gonna break down for you guys. I'm pretty excited for some of these, for most of these, if not all of these. We'll see how it goes. But the first one, Keith Lee from Prince to Pauper. All right, John, you brought this one up. I'm gonna give you the head start on it.
I mean, I think it's just kind of weird, man. Like, Keith Lee's been off television since January, and he keeps teasing that he has something to say.
Yeah.
And I found out recently about something that I did not know. And I'm really shocked that I never thought about it in this aspect. But Twitter, for the WWE guys, I didn't realize they don't have as much control over the Twitter as I thought they did. I thought these guys were like legit live tweeting shit, and WWE has their finger on what they tweet. I did not know that.
Makes sense though.
Because like with the recent firing, Aleister Black changed his at immediately, and it says Tommy End. He's going back to his indie roots.
Yeah.
And somebody was like, "Hey, when are you going to change that from at Aleister Black?" And he goes, "I don't know. When is WWE going to get off their ass and do it?" Essentially.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that WWE really controlled it. And then somebody had pointed out that Twitter is technically a third party. And I was like, oh shit, that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
So it makes sense that Keith Lee would want to speak his mind, but can't.
Yeah.
I.e., Lana, who got fired and instantly put up a tweet that said, I know it's late, but I want to congratulate my husband Miro on his TNT championship win. You might still have these people under contract until whenever their 90 days run out, but you can't fucking censor them.
Yeah.
Let Keith Lee either come back to television, which the fans want, because he was in the middle of being epically pushed and deservingly.
Yeah.
I mean, you figure he's been out since before Mania.
Yeah. Yeah, it was late January since he's been out. There are some reports that are suggesting that he may not be medically clear, that he was taken off television due to health concerns and apparently underwent testing, but nothing. There's nothing concrete that says that it's not like WWE said this or Keith Lee said this.
Well, originally they said he was injured.
Yeah,
like that was what took him off TV. And then there was apparent COVID restrictions because Mia Yim had tested positive. I have a feeling Keith Lee, because he was one of the guys that got sent down in the group of big guys being retaught.
Yep.
I have a feeling he opened his mouth and said something, and he got himself in trouble for it.
Yeah, I mean,
because
he's been off TV for over 4 months.
Yep. Unless
he got a major injury, which they would not hide that.
Nope.
Because they always come out and tell, so-and-so, tore his ACL or whatever.
Yeah.
They always come out and say it.
Well, and that's the thing. They always say it.
And COVID ain't keeping you out for fucking 4 months unless you're sitting in the hospital on a ventilator, and that would also come out.
True. But so I started thinking about it the other day when we were talking about doing this, and we brought this up today. So he's been off television for this long. He, in that time frame, though, had announced engagement to Mia Yim, who's part of, the whole Retribution thing.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if, he's getting in trouble backstage for kind of pulling what Rusev and Lana did.
Maybe.
Maybe this is part of the punishment?
I'm wondering, if that's why Mia Yim no longer was part of Retribution. Because, she disappeared from Retribution.
She did.
And it was just the guys.
Yeah, but then she came back for a little while.
Yeah, so it makes me wonder if they were, they pulled her because of that for... That, even if it was just that short period of time. But I don't know, because, I mean, Vince can be vindictive.
Can be for sure.
So it's definitely something that
I don't know what he could have done that would have gotten him in so much trouble, or maybe something is legitimately wrong. But
he was on top, man. He was on top in NXT. He was the double champ.
Yep.
And then they had him drop the titles and they brought him up. This guy was flying high,
and he was getting pushed hard.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, boom.
And wasn't he? Done. He was in an Intercontinental match at whatever pay-per-view.
I believe.
And it was U.S. It was the U.S. title match. And then John Morrison went in his place.
Yep.
And we haven't seen him since.
Yep.
And it's okay, well, I mean, the fans want him, and he obviously wants to come back. So I can't wait to hear where this is going to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope. I really like Keith Lee, so I hope we get to see him come back. So, all right. So, next up is a segment that I know John loves. It's his favorite segment of the night.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. I got something I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the Dark Order. Now, I want to talk about specifically -1, the Dark Order Championship that was recently brought up during the AEW Fan Fest. And I want to talk about Brody Lee's legacy. Okay, now, we all know what's going on in AEW currently with like the whole Brody Lee still hangs out backstage. You know, the fans are adoring him. The wrestlers are looking after him. You know, Tony Khan gave him the contract after Brody passed away and said, when you turn 18, if this is what you want, we're here for you. You know, at AEW Fan Fest, he was presented with a Dark Order Championship from Preston Vance. Or for those of you who don't know who Preston Vance is, he's number 10. So, you know, I think it's really cool. And then there was a tweet put out the other day. It was tweeted at the Dark Order. And somebody was like, oh, when are you going to replace Brody? And a couple of people from the Dark Order responded with different things, but I don't remember who exactly. Might have even been Evil Uno. Was like, we don't need to replace Brody because we've already had the best leader for the Dark Order we could have ever had. And that makes me happy because Brody was a great fucking guy. And AEW is not like, well, fuck, he died. Now we got to replace him. No, they realized you can't fill somebody like Brody's spot. And I mean, they probably will at some point, and it's going to suck. But for right now, they're doing what they can to help a family. Yeah. And, I mean, I'm not even just talking about Brody's wife and his son. The business is a family, people. People loved Brody. There's no denying that. And it sucks that somebody like his caliber and his presence is gone. But the fact that they haven't tried to replace him says something. And that's awesome. Yeah. But I also want to see this tie into current storylines that are playing in AEW and Impact Wrestling. You know, Brody's got the TNT Championship, the red belt. He was presented as the forever holder of that belt. And now he's got the Dark Order Championship. So I would love to see Kenny Omega walking backstage with all his, you know, his bling. And I would love to see, you know, Brody Jr. or -1 sitting there. And I would love to see Kenny walk by and make a comment, which would, like, be epic and be like, you know, I beat up a little girl one time. I think I could take you, and I'll take your stupid belt. And then I want to see, like, Preston Vance step in and be like, hey, you want to beat up on somebody, why don't you, like, you know, fight somebody your own size? Why don't you put one of those belts on the line while you're doing it? And then Preston Vance gets a shot, which we all know he's not going to win the belt. So before you people start shitting on me that Ted isn't going to get a title, well, no fuck. We all know it's going to be. And mark my words right now, it is June the 5th at 10:30 at night. I am marking my words right now. It is going to be Hangman Adam Page who beats Kenny Omega for the AEW Championship. Mark my words on it.
I like it.
Okay?
I like it.
I'm saying Preston Vance gets a fucking shot, and while he's wrestling, gets the upper hand. Kenny takes the championship, blasts him in the face, and either gets disqualified and retains his title, or the ref doesn't see it and he wins. Either way, great match.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck. Brody Jr. could even get in the ring and fucking get a couple shots in on Kenny. Kenny can shove him down. Dark Order can come out and break it up. You know, because that's. I mean, the Dark Order's always there, and Hangman Adam Page has been being backed by the Dark Order anyway, so it all makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a great little storyline to do, and it would really kind of help push this, you know, Brody legacy through Dark Order and everything. I think I don't know. I think it would be great. You know, also, I think it would make everyone look good in the way they need to look.
I know that we're talking about like Brody in this aspect, but can we just talk about how great the buckshot lariat is? Great fucking move.
It is.
That takes a lot of athleticism. I can never do that shit.
That is true. That is
true. But I personally think that the Dark Order right now doesn't need a new leader. I think if they're honestly, I think I talked about it once before on the show that where I think -1 should be like Evil Uno's like side leader, and he should call the shots, and they just act like whatever he says is like gold.
Yeah.
Like, let him wear his little suit and be like, yeah, you go do this, monkey. And the guy's like, I don't really have to take orders from this kid, do I? And Neil Luna was like, hey, he said it. Like
you heard the kid.
Yeah,
Move it, monkey.
I
like it. Oh man, I like it.
Like I said, and that is let me tell you something, brother.
Yes. And it was let me tell you something, brother. I'll be totally honest with you. I enjoyed it quite a bit. All right. Now we're going to move on to a pretty big topic here, something that has been happening throughout the last couple of months and has happened again. Something I like to call WWE dropping the hammer. That's right. A bunch more firings have happened.
I'm sorry. The hammer is my penis.
The hammer is my penis. It's true. So another round of firings have taken place. We got Braun Strowman, Aleister Black, Lana, Murphy, Ruby Riott, and Santana Garrett all being released. This makes a total of 25 releases since April 15th. So in less than 2 months, they have let 25 wrestlers and referees, because there's 2 referees on the list as well, go. It's a lot of people. So, John, I want to get your thoughts initially on the 6 new released people, and then we'll get into some other stuff about this as well.
I'm really taken back by some of these releases. I'm not going to lie. Especially considering Ruby Riott had just been on Raw before the release. I'm pretty sure, didn't I text you these Tuesday? It was like Tuesday or Wednesday, something like that. I texted you as soon as this broke, because I was literally getting ready to lay down and go to bed, and I was like, oh shit, this is huge. Yeah. And it was we need to do an emergency recording now.
Yeah, I think it was Tuesday. Yeah,
I feel like it was Tuesday. And I couldn't believe it then. I've sat on this now for a few days, and I'm just I can't wrap my head around it, because Ruby Riott had just been on Raw. Braun Strowman had been on Raw. And I'm just God damn, Aleister Black had just gotten back on TV.
Yeah, they just repackaged him.
Yeah, he was doing the Father Time gimmick, and I was like, fuck, man. I'm what happened? Why?
Dude, apparently, a little bit of a sidetrack. Apparently, they had some pretty interesting plans for this Father Time gimmick. Apparently, the character was supposed to have supernatural beliefs and practices. I was reading an article where he's into mysticism and stuff. He's supposed to be real vain with a lot of insecurities. And his literal mask is supposed to kind of showcase that. And apparently Vince was super into it. Which is confusing to me, because I was reading another article from the Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer, who stated that they made a list of, I think it was 30 people that they were willing to let go. And Vince pulled out the 6 that he decided to let go because he had nothing for them to do. So that's why they got cut. And I'm first off, you just repackaged this guy and you're supposedly super into it, yet you have nothing for him to do. You tell me you have nothing for somebody like a Braun Strowman to do?
Well, see, I've thought about Braun. And honestly, there's something that I hadn't thought about until I was really thinking about this one at work the other night. Braun Strowman in the last year, if you really look back on his career, has spent more time off television than he has on.
Yeah, but that ain't his fault. That's the poor management of creative.
Yes. But at the same time, I think that has something to do with why he was released. I mean, yes, every time he's off TV, he comes back looking great. Better than he left. But how many times can you be off television because creative has nothing for you before they're finally okay, well, let's cut our losses. But I don't think it's his fault, and I'm not blaming creative. This time I'm blaming what we were talking about right before we started recording.
Okay, go ahead, share it.
I personally, I started reading a rumor the other day that WWE might be trying to sell the company. Vince and everybody's just kind of we're at that point where We don't have much left in us anymore.
Yeah, this is something we'll talk about in our last topic, but yeah, there's a lot of that going around.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that going around. The three topics that we're going to be, so this one and the next two all kind of tie together. So it's going to be a lot to talk about when it comes
with
to all
that part of the thing in there, with people like Braun Strowman on the roster and stuff. The price of the company still stays up because you've got these active people who you're paying. Like, he had like a $3 million contract.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a fucking bitch contract to be like, hey, by the way, you're going to be buying the company and this guy has a $3 million contract. And they're going to be like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we got to hope that it's kind of like when you buy like a horse or something for like jockeys. Okay, convince me why I'm going to buy this product, because that fucking amount of money means that guy better not get hurt. We better be able to keep him on TV, and we better be able to do something with him.
Yeah.
And two of those things already, injuries and lack of kratom, has taken him off television for better part of 6 months this year.
It's true.
So, at this point, you take him out back with a shotgun. Boom! There went Braun Strowman.
And speaking of Strowman, he has said in the past that he would never work anywhere other than the WWE. Do you think this mentality will remain now that he's gone?
See, this is what kind of scares me. I really hope not, because I don't think Braun Strowman has reached his full potential yet.
Yeah, I think he's like our age.
He is.
Like,
and the thing is if you really look at the transition from like when he came in as the black sheep of the Wyatt family to now, there is a entirely different man.
Yeah.
Like, he was a big, bulky dude. He was a power lifter. And now he's fucking cut. He is ripped. Like, he is the kind of guy that I see in a dark alleyway, and I kick Josh in the balls and run. Josh can fend for himself. You know what? I'm even taking the keys to Josh's car. I'll call 911 from the car.
Fair enough. At least I know what I'm getting myself into. In other words, don't walk down dark alleys with John.
Now, the other thing that shocks me is, and I'll use this to like kind of segue into like the next part of this conversation here. Somebody like Ruby Riott gets cut.
Oh, there's more though. I have more to talk about.
Go ahead then.
Before we jump into that.
Well, then let me know when you're done talking about your part, because I'll segue this into the next part.
All right. So there's also, so we have all these firings going on. There's also rumors. Now, again, they're just rumors. It's just talk, scuttlebutt, as the case may be.
Scuttlebutt.
That Edge may be one of the next to be let go. You were talking about, big contracts.
Yep.
Well, Edge has a $3 million a year contract, and they don't use him much.
Nope.
And apparently, prior to his return to the WWE, he was in talks with AEW.
Makes sense.
So, if this is something that is actually going to happen, which, honestly, the way things are going, I could see it happening.
Oh, yeah. Well, especially with Christian now.
Do you think he might go over to AEW?
Hell yeah. Why wouldn't he?
I know, right? How awesome. I mean, I'm sure that, because even he said, he doesn't want to be a full-timer, and that's fine. But I want to see him team with Christian just one more time. I mean, I want it so bad.
I'll say it in terms that retro wrestling fans can understand. Edge signing with AEW reeks of awesomeness.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, you think you know him?
Because here's the thing, they signed Edge for 3 years, $3 million a year. All right, that's a lot of money.
That is
a lot of money, and they're almost never using him. Now, yes, I know he got injured there for a little bit, but then he came back. But they don't use him much.
Well, has he even been on television since his loss at Mania?
I'm not sure, to be totally honest.
I don't believe he has.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he hasn't. So what's the point in spending $3 million a year if they're not going to do anything with him?
Because I don't think they know how to work with Edge anymore.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
The company, in the 9 years that he was gone, the company changed.
Yep.
The company isn't about guys like Edge anymore. It's about the small guy now.
Yeah.
And yes, Edge he's not the biggest dude in the locker room, but his style isn't their style.
Yeah.
Like, we're looking at, this is the time, excuse me, this is the time for the WWE to have guys like Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, Kofi Kingston's.
This is why they're pushing guys like Matt Riddle.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. I know you don't care for him, but, you know. And so even with, you know, all these firings happening, you know, we talked about before last episode, you know, they fire all these people, yet they keep people, or they bring on people like Eva Marie.
Yep.
Okay. There's also reports that they're looking to bring back Lesnar for SummerSlam.
I had heard something about Lesnar coming back, and I was like, why?
Yeah.
Like, it's not necessary at this point.
The reports are saying he'll either face Bobby Lashley or Roman Reigns. WWE even moved Lesnar's page on the website from the alumni to active superstar. So if you're having budget cuts and you're dumping all these wrestlers left and right, why the fuck are you bringing back Eva Marie and Brock Lesnar? Why?
Yeah. Well, I'll start on Brock and I'll end on the other one. If you're going to bring back Brock Lesnar just to fight Bobby Lashley because it's the powerhouse versus powerhouse match that they've wanted for years, why? Because, I mean, we've already got Brock versus Roman, and I don't want to see that match again.
Yeah.
Like, I have no need to see that match again. So, you know, they're probably going to push it towards Lashley, and I honestly, Brock's going to come back and probably take the title, and I don't want that.
Yeah.
Put it on somebody unexpected. Let somebody new have a chance. Like, stop fucking circulating the belt.
Because what would be the point of bringing Brock Lesnar back and then having him lose?
Exactly.
What would actually be the point in that?
And as it goes for Eva Marie, it's the same thing. Like, she keeps saying she's coming back to finish unfinished business. What unfinished business? Most of the women who were in the fucking company when you wrestled are done and retired.
Yeah.
Like,
the unfinished business of actually being good?
Right? I mean,
that never happened.
I know she was working her ass off with Brian Kendricks to try and get trained and be better, but until I see it, I'm not going to believe it. And honestly, now with all the active women being fired that have been getting fired, now you're fucking telling me that you really need to step up your game. Because people like Ruby Riott and Mickie James, Santana Garrett, those women were hardworking women. And I feel like I forgot somebody from like the Mickie James one.
Oh,
there was another.
Yeah, hold on. It was so we had Peyton Royce and Billy Kay
iconics.
And Chelsea Green was also let go.
So like you're telling me you're better than all of these women? Because now you're really, really, really having to step up your fucking game.
And shit. Even Lana, who was just let go, had really stepped up her game. She stepped up her game so much since she first was in there. It's insane how much she improved.
Oh yeah. So now you've really you've got to prove your point. And I'll use this now to segue towards the next one. You want to fire somebody like Ruby Riott. Ruby Riott and Liv Tyler were in the midst of getting
Liv Morgan.
Or Liv Morgan. What did I say, Tyler?
Yeah.
Sorry. Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott were getting a decent push again to look like they were getting elevated in the tag team division to get a shot at the women's tag titles. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden you took one of your actual women's tag teams and you're like, eh.
Well, they took two because Lana and Naomi were running as a tag team and they were doing pretty well.
That is true as well.
And
so
then
you're just kind of fuck the women's tag division.
I mean, I know that they weren't together when they were both cut, but they broke up the Iconics. And it's why would you do that?
Dude, they shit on that one so hard though, because it's you split them to make Billy Kay look like a joke.
Yep.
Peyton Royce was still tag teaming with people anyway when she wasn't wrestling singles.
Yeah.
So I agree with Josh. It's what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
I mean, and then as if it wasn't a slap in the face enough to the women's division, you brought in a second set of women's tag team championships just for NXT, because God forbid we elevate the title or the talent in NXT and let them shine on the main stage, or God forbid we have to let our main stage talent dwindle down into NXT, because that might bring up ratings.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's really no secret that Vince is not a fan of tag team wrestling, but if you don't like it, then why bother?
Right?
Just be a company that doesn't even have it. You know what I mean? Why are you going to create stuff like this just to shit on it? There's like no point in it, because all it's going to do is enrage the fans. And I wanted to bring something up here. Okay, so we talked about in the last topic how Vince let these last set of people go because he didn't have anything for them to do.
Yes.
Okay. So if Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan are teammates, what did I say?
You said it right.
Okay. Our teammates, they rarely do stuff outside of teams. If they don't have something for Ruby to do, does that mean they don't have something for Liv to do? And that she's going to be next?
And that's
or is she going to randomly get a singles run, and then that's not going to last, and she's just going to get buried?
Well,
that's the same goes for Naomi. The same goes for Naomi, who was teaming with Lana.
Well, at least, okay, so take the last year. Naomi was out on injury for at least most of the year.
Yeah.
Liv was getting the push. She was doing the black leather, like she had that black canary look on her.
Yeah.
And then Ruby Riott came back from injury, and they put the two of them back together. Sarah Logan got fired. Those two got back together. And I was like, okay. They canceled out Liv Morgan's fucking singles push. So Liv Morgan wrestled on Raw with Ruby Riott in her Riott Squad gear. And then on SmackDown had a singles match in the black gear she was wrestling in before Ruby came back. So I'm like, so are they just going to pick up where they left off with her? Because that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't know what their plan is. And here's the thing that I worry about. You know, they're going to try, quote unquote, to give Liv a singles push. And like most other female wrestlers, it's just going to get buried by people like Charlotte Flair.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's going to go like, look at Peyton Royce. Peyton Royce had a push. They were pushing her. And then all of a sudden, nothing.
Yeah.
And now she's gone. And that's what I fear is going to happen with Liv.
When it comes to WWE, you said it, man. They screw the pooch on tag team wrestling. And I'm going to flip the coin to AEW for a second. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, they're sucking the dick of AEW. AEW
We've
gets
literally
it right,
talked about the WWE more than anything this episode.
We do.
Putting that out there.
I know, but I mean, like, we never really shit on the shit AEW does, except for the one or two times we've picked apart, like, segments.
I think that's because we have watched far more WWE in our life.
We have. Obviously. But we've also watched it when, like, segments were highly rated. And we've seen it at some of the lowest of the lows. And we've also been in the business, so we see it in a different light.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the things a lot of people don't think about, is that sometimes I can try to legitimately understand where WWE is coming from, but this time I don't.
Yeah.
But I watched a YouTube video recently, and it was behind the scenes with Billy Gunn and his two sons. And for those of you who don't know, they're a tag team in AEW right now, and they call themselves the Gun Club. And Billy Gunn was actually talking about how about a year and a half to 2 years ago, he was ready to retire from the business. He thought he had nothing left to do in this business. And then both of his kids decided that they wanted to get trained and become professional wrestlers. And he had told them that they weren't allowed near the business until they graduated from college, until they had tried other things with their life. Both of them decided to get trained and become like their dad. And they were talking about how great it is to be wrestling with their dad, because, you know, they're learning from somebody who's been on the road, and they've seen what the road did to him, and they saw how he was used in the business and how tag team wrestling built him, and yet he still had a singles career, and he is who he is. And Billy talks about how it's great to work with his kids because this is his last push. This is the last thing he's doing, and he's done. He's going to hang up the boots, and like this is his last push. He's like, all I want to do is make sure my kids are started and I'm out. And I started to think about that, and I was like, wow, man, I can't imagine being this guy who started out in the WWE as a tag team wrestler, and then he kind of got shuffled off of that, and then became famous with D-Generation X, and then elevated himself, and then dropped off the face of the earth for a while, and then came back, and then I was like, man, tag team wrestling isn't what it used to be. And it goes right back to this with what Josh was saying now. Vince doesn't know what the fuck he's doing with the tag division. And like I said,
apparently Vince never apparently wanted the women's tag team division.
That's stupid.
That's what I
mean, that's really stupid.
And you know how they did that at Mania? They did that tag team turmoil and then the title match after? Yep. Apparently, Natalya had to fight really hard just to make that happen. Because Vince didn't want any of it.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't understand why, like, then why bother? Like, you telling me that if you put your foot down as Vince frickin' McMahon, that somebody's going to override you? No.
Right?
No. Even Hunter, like, if Vince doesn't want it, it ain't going to happen. So, like, why even bother? Like, I don't, if all you're going to do is kill it anyways with all the bullshit that you do, and this is why the WWE has gone downhill.
Yeah.
For years because of the shit that he does, and he won't relinquish control at all.
I mean, it's really sad too, because I mean, like, with a lot of the women who have been getting released, like, you know, they're going to go someplace else and they're going to shine.
Yeah.
And Ruby Riott, like, she has gotten so much fucking support online from, like, this release. People are like, whoever picks up Heidi Lovelace is going to fucking see that she has a lot of talent WWE didn't even let her use. Yeah. And I'm like, that is shitty that WWE's like, oh, yeah, we got talent. We got lots of talent. But don't do anything you can do.
Yeah.
We've known it for years, but now it's just getting ridiculous.
Yeah, unfortunately. Hopefully she finds a good home. All of them. I mean, some of them I don't really care that much about. I mean, there's, like I said, but they fired 25 people over the last
25 people, and some of them I don't care about. Still swinging.
Oh yeah, man. I wouldn't be shocked because April, May, and I mean, this was technically still May when this happened. I think, right? It wasn't June yet.
No, hold on. I will resort to text messages.
But it was, if anything, it was super close. So it's looking like almost once a month they're just cutting people down. You know, they're just making new cuts, sending out releases, and so end of June into July.
Oh, it was Wednesday morning.
Okay, what day was that?
Wednesday would have been the 1st.
That was So Wednesday was the 2nd. So so it was June. So they did firings in April, firings in May, firings in June. Look out, July. I almost guarantee you we're going to see more a month from now.
We could still see more this month.
We could.
June.
Yeah, it was literally the beginning. I could see him by the end. Absolutely. June, dude, the next pay-per-view is June 20th.
Yep.
That following week, don't be shocked if we get another drop happening. Yeah. And this whole thing brings us into our final topic, and that is the state of the WWE as we know it currently. The last year has been hard. It has been hard for everybody. You know, in the wrestling business, a full year of no audience, that means a lot of lost money. I get it. So, of course, I understand budget cuts. I totally get it. And that's always been a joke of ours. You know, something, they have to do something. We just have budget cuts, Yep. Like, oh, they're not doing pyro anymore. Budget cuts. It's always been a joke of ours. But this is literally the excuse that they're using.
Yep.
And to me, this is just the beginning of something bigger that's happening in the WWE. You've been talking about it all show. You've been alluding to a lot of stuff. The rumors that the WWE might get sold is a big part of what is happening. I mean, if you just look at what happened recently, WWE sold the WWE network after having it for 7 years to Peacock.
Yep.
It's just gone. They get all that stuff is now gone. I don't even know what the hell that app is used for. I still have it, and it just updated itself. I have no idea what the fuck it's even used for.
I tried signing into it. It doesn't even let you sign into it. It tells you to go to Peacock.
Yeah, I don't have the point of it even being there anymore. I need to just delete it. But just they don't. Like I said, they sold the network. They've fired 25 people in the last 2 months, like we just talked about. And some people, like we said, are speculating that all these releases are to make their numbers look good, like you were talking about.
Yep.
Before a potential buyout, which it makes so much sense.
Well, because I know they at least offered NBC to buy the company.
Yeah, I have that in my notes. The Sportster reported that both Disney and NBC Universal are the two most likely buyers for the WWE. The company has a long working relationship with NBCU, because of Peacock and everything now. They just sold the WWE Network too, that we talked about. And that NBCU might even wind up purchasing WWE as a whole.
Yeah.
Which is just wild to me.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry, I wasn't meaning to cut you off, but because I was talking about this at work with someone the other day, they had brought up the NBC thing. And I said, so if NBC buys the company, who runs the show? Like, because obviously Vince won't be there anymore. And I was like, and rumor broke today that Shane's pretty much done with company again. Like, Shane pretty much was like, fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah.
And he pretty much quit the WWE again, which can't blame him. At this point, you get off the sinking ship before it's too late. I mean,
here's who I think will run things if that has happened. They recently hired Nick Khan as the president and chief revenue officer of the WWE. It is being speculated that he is setting the company up to be sold.
Interesting.
If this happens, I believe he will probably be the one running it.
Interesting.
Is
it Khan, Kahn?
Yeah, it's spelled the same, but it's not. There's no relation to Tony.
No relation.
Khan. Tony Khan apparently. He went on. He did like a. I don't know if you call it a promo or whatever. Kind of bashing Nick Khan.
Really?
Yeah, and even he even put out. He's like, there's no. He's like, we're not related, and he's like something along the lines of like, there's only one. When this is done, there'll only be one Khan left, or something like that. Yeah, yeah. I have to try. I don't even remember. I think I just randomly saw it on Twitter.
Fair enough.
But it was actually pretty funny. And so like until that I didn't even know who the fuck Nick Khan was. Hadn't heard of him. But apparently they just recently brought him in. He was like an agent, like a sports media agent.
Interesting.
And now he's the president and chief revenue officer of freaking WWE. I don't know whose dick he sucked to get this job, but like, dude, it's ridiculous. But apparently pro wrestling analyst Justin LaBar on a recent podcast episode noted that he couldn't help but feel as though the moves that Vince is making signal that he has a grand vision for what he wants the WWE to be, and that he's inching closer to achieving that goal. People are saying that Vince has been bringing in several non-wrestling people into corporate positions, and that he sees the WWE as just a brand, not just for wrestling, but for a large array of things, and he wants to focus more on building that. So, WWE, wrestling-wise, may have a shelf life. What do you think about all that?
I'm not going to lie, man. It makes me want to cry a little bit.
Yeah.
WWE's been part of my life since I was like a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, wrestling on the playgrounds, wrestling in backyards, fucking trying to get into the independent scene, Wrestling's in my blood. Like, I can't imagine WWE just not being there.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's a lot to wrap my head around.
Yeah.
There's apparently
nuts.
a lot more layers to it than I'd realized.
Yeah, it's nuts just how, like, obviously Vince grew up in this business, you know? He must have had some sort of love for it, but it doesn't feel like he really cares that much about it. You know?
I'm wondering if, because like you said, Vince grew up with this business, obviously. His father ran the WWF.
Yeah.
Vince turned it into the WWF and turned all of wrestling around. Like, there is no denying Vince McMahon put wrestling on the map.
Oh, yeah.
There is no denying that Vince McMahon has profited highly off of the world of professional wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
I would even go as far to say he's the godfather of wrestling.
Yeah.
And I don't mean Marty Wright. You know, I mean, like, he's the man. Vince McMahon is the man.
Mm-hmm.
He obviously won the fucking war with Ted Turner. He knew what he was doing. He played his cards right. He played his tenure as far as he could. Something obviously happened somewhere along the way where Vince fell out of love with the business because things have been changing for a while. We've seen it. We've commented on it. Things don't always, and I get it. As fans, we're not always going to 100% get what we want in this business.
Yeah.
We're always going to want to see something done differently or have an opinion, and that's the thing. But we're looking at this right now in real time, and I mean, the business is changing in mere months. You know, fucking gimmick changes, firings, position movements. I mean, Triple H is obviously doing what he can to keep himself in a position of power for right now. But I mean, like, how long before Triple H says, fuck this, I'm out?
Yeah, I mean, he has said that he has a shelf life in this business. Like, he has said this. You know? So he ain't, I don't see him taking over. I don't see him, you know, being a Vince McMahon who's running it till the day he dies, almost kind of thing. You know what I mean? It bothers me just like I understand building a brand. I get that. You know, he's a man. He wants money. I get it. You know, and I get wanting to make your brand the best. However, when you decide to completely just sideline what made that brand the brand that it is, I think that's a huge mistake.
Yeah.
You know, the wrestling is the WWE.
Yeah.
You know, if that fades away, they've tried doing movies and all this other stuff. And I mean, most of them are not very good. They're just not. Like, when people hear, oh, it's a WWE film, it tends to be like a joke.
Yeah.
And so, like, he may want to be the next Disney or Marvel or whatever the fuck big brand. But without the wrestling, he's going to have nothing.
No.
Like, it's going to fail. And that's the way it is.
It's weird, though, to see him even try to compare himself on the level of, like, a Disney.
Dude, I literally saw an article that he's like, you know, he wants the WWE to be the next Marvel.
But it can't be the next Marvel because, first off, the Marvel universe is now, I mean, even if you look at it in just the cinematic universe and leave all the comics and everything out of it and just look at the cinematic universe, they have been building a cinematic universe now for like 11 years. There has been a lot of time, a lot of planning. There's been a lot of like board meetings and continuities that they have had to like make sure that they are like, okay, well, this movie's coming out. Well, we need to remember to retcon this and this and this. By the way, go back, make sure we've got this person on board. Make sure we've got this person on board. Do this. Oh, fuck, wait, that happened? Okay, well, we got to make sure to put this line of dialogue in there. Okay? They have built theme parks around this shit. They have an entire shared universe now with the Disney World. Now Disney has all the rights to fucking Marvel and shit like that. I mean, there are so many layers that Disney has where, like, Disney plays their cards right. Like, hey, the Simpsons fucking catalog was up for bid. Maybe we should purchase that. It's not going to do us any good right now, but Fox is selling it, so why not buy it? Oh, hey, look at the Marvel Universe is up for bids because Fox is selling it. We should buy that too. Oh, look at the world we're building now.
Oh, Fox is up for sale. We might as well just buy it.
I mean, and that's the
they
thing.
did.
If there's, and that's part of it. Fox is owned by Disney. Part of the WWE is already going to be owned by Disney.
Fox, I don't believe Fox Sports is. Like Fox News, Fox Sports are still owned by the, I don't remember the fucking guy's name. The guy who owned Fox before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Disney just owns the, I don't remember if they own the TV side or not, but they own, like, 20th Century Fox, like the film.
Okay.
Studio.
Makes sense. But I'm just saying, though, there's already like a bridge there. Like there's woodworking going on. And if people aren't paying attention, you watch, mark my words, somehow Disney will incorporate WWE.
I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, like I said, Disney and NBC Universal are the two that are kind of vying for it, if it goes through.
Disney's got deep pockets, man. Like, Walt Disney wasn't dumb when he invested his money. And it is still showing to this day that the people who are representing his offices are like, you know what? Let's make an offer. And WWE's like, we're going to listen to what NBC has to say first. And Disney's like, you don't want to listen to them. Let's talk. Come on. Come on.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. It's a sad state of affairs. I mean, I'm glad we have things like AEW. I mean, hell, even Impact, though I don't really watch it, but at least it's still there, doing its thing. If WWE really wants to screw themselves that way, then sure. I'm curious if, because I feel like if NBC buys it, it probably won't change much. I mean, hopefully it'll get better, but I worry that if something like Disney buys it, it will go back to the PG and worse. You know what I mean?
I'm torn on it because Disney technically owns the rights to Deadpool right now.
Yeah.
And they've already agreed to do a rated R Deadpool.
It's true, but the majority of their stuff,
yes,
like their brand, the Disney brand, is family friendly. I mean, realistically, it is.
However, I think Disney at this point knows that if they invest in something like WWE, they're gonna have to bend something somewhere.
Yeah, but what they could then do is they could just be like, well, for years you guys did PG. It can work. We can do it. True. That's what I fear that will happen. Because we finally started coming out of the PG.
They did.
And it has been better in that aspect. But
I guess in retrospect, only time will tell where it's going to go.
Yeah. I'm sure this ain't the last time we will have a topic similar to this.
Probably not.
But I think that unless you got any last minute thoughts on this.
No, man. I think that was, I like this discussion about it because, this is a huge thing in wrestling right now, man.
Yeah, really is. And I guess we'll have to see how it all shakes out. All right. So, John, this was quite an episode, I have to say.
A great episode, man.
Yeah, man. Anything left that you'd like to talk about before we head on out?
Lady ref Aubrey Edwards got her first action figure.
Nice.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah, a lot of people were like, "Why the fuck does the lady ref need a figure?" And I'm like, "Fuck you." She works her ass off for that.
Yeah, fuck you guys. Like all the refs can get it, so can she. They can go fuck themselves. Yeah, that's awesome. That sounds really cool. Yeah.
I'm happy.
Yeah, I dig that.
But that's pretty much all I got. What about you? You got anything else you want to add?
I mean, I recently watched the finale of Young Rock. It was pretty good. Yeah, man.
Was the finale up?
Yeah.
Shit. Wait, which episode? 10?
11, I think, is what
that was the finale?
Yeah, it was season
Son
finale.
of a bitch. Man, all my shows are done for the season right now. Then
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough.
now
But
it's time to start watching something else.
yeah, that's true. Or catch up on something. There you go.
No, I'm not behind anything right now.
Catch up on some Walking Dead, bitch.
No, I'll start something new.
Fair enough.
I'll watch some Castle.
There you go. There you go. All right, folks. Well, there you have it. This has been episode number 29 of Off the Ropes with John and Josh. I am Josh.
I'm John.
And we
are
down for the count. Catch you guys next time.